Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a map, but this isn't a map of a place, it's a map of a journey. It's the journey of how you became, well, you, and how you're constantly changing and trying to make sense of your world.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever stumbled upon an old photo or, a diary entry from when you were younger and just thought, whoa, who was that person? You know, that feeling? It's not just some fuzzy nostalgia. It's actually proof of a really profound internal shift. And that's exactly the change we're going to map out today.
The tool we're going to use for this is ego development theory, which comes from the amazing work of psychologist Susanne Cook-Greuter. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as a roadmap. It's a guide that shows how our awareness, our perspective, and even our core identity can evolve over time.
All right, first stop on our journey, your inner storyteller. Now, to even begin to understand this map, we've got to get familiar with its main character, the ego. But, and this is a big but, we need to completely forget what we usually think of when we hear that word. We're going after its real psychological meaning here.
So yeah, let's just toss out that whole idea of ego meaning arrogance or being full of yourself. That's not what we're talking about. In this theory, the ego is way more fundamental. It's like your mind's operating system, or even better, it's the storyteller inside you. It's the part of you that's constantly working, 24/7, to weave a coherent story out of every single thing you experience. It's a neutral, organizing force that literally builds your reality. And this quote from Cook-Greuter just nails it. The search for coherent meanings, that's it. That's the whole game. The ego is, at its core, a meaning-making machine. It's that relentless part of you that just has to take everything, what you see, what you feel, what you think, and stitch it all together into a story that actually makes sense.
Okay, so now that we have that foundation, let's actually look at the map itself. So, the 3 tiers. The theory breaks down our growth into 3 big, broad territories of consciousness.
Now, these aren't just little baby steps. We're talking about fundamental, earth-shaking shifts in how you perceive reality. We all start out in this pre-conventional me-first world. It's all about my needs. Then we grow into the conventional tier, where the focus shifts from me to us. It's about belonging to our group. And for some people, the journey goes even farther, into the post-conventional tier, where you can step back and see the entire system. And what's key is that each tier includes and builds upon the one before it. Okay, check this out. This is fascinating. While the map covers this whole huge spectrum of growth, the data shows that the vast majority of us, like 3/4 of the adult population, are making sense of the world from inside that conventional tier. And just to be clear, that's not a judgment. It's not good or bad. It's just a really interesting snapshot of where society's, let's call it center of gravity, for meaning-making is. So where does this grand journey start for every single one of us? It starts right here, in the pre-conventional tier. Think of this as the me stage. It's a world built entirely around pure self-interest, getting what I want and trying to stay out of trouble. It's a stage we all have to go through when we're kids. And the logic at this stage is really simple, really direct. The world is totally black and white. Things are either good or bad, people are nice or mean, there's not a lot of gray area, and other people, well, they're basically seen as tools. They either help you get what you want, or they're an obstacle in your way. The main driver here is just self-protection, because life feels like a zero-sum game. If I win, you have to lose. Okay, now let's move on up to the conventional tier. And this is the big one. This is the landscape where most of us as adults live and work. The big shift here is that our focus expands from just me to us. We're learning how to fit in, how to follow the rules of the game, and how to chase what society tells us is success. So at this level, who you are becomes deeply, deeply connected to your social roles. You are your job title, your community, your beliefs. We take on the rules of the group, and our main goal is to be good at what we do, to be effective, to master the systems around us. This is where we build what psychologists call a self-authoring identity, one that's really defined by our achievements and by being a good, contributing member of the team. All right, now, getting to the post-conventional tier, this is a massive leap. It's like you've been playing a video game your whole life, and then suddenly you realize you can step outside the game and see the code. It's a move from just accepting reality as it's presented to questioning the very lens you're looking through. You stop being a character in the system and start seeing the system itself. This is where you really start to look inward. You start pulling at the threads of your own beliefs, questioning the assumptions you grew up with, and you have this huge aha moment. Reality isn't this solid, fixed thing out there. It's something you are actively helping to create through your own interpretation. And suddenly, the process, the journey itself, becomes just as important as the outcome. You start to see the world less as a collection of separate things and more as this incredibly complex, beautiful web of interconnected systems.
Let's make this super concrete. Take a big idea, like truth. From that conventional view, truth is pretty straightforward. It's objective. It's something we can go out and find, right? Through science, through logic. But from a post-conventional view, whoa, that certainty just dissolves. You start to realize that what we call truth is almost always relative. It depends on your perspective, on your context, and let me tell you, that is a total game changer for how you see everything.
Okay, section 3, how we grow. So this begs a pretty big question, right? If these are the territories on the map, what's the engine? What actually pushes us from one stage to the next?
Well, the theory suggests it's not one thing, but a kind of dynamic dance between two opposing forces. First, you've got differentiation. This is the part that can feel pretty uncomfortable, maybe even lonely. It's when we start to pull away, to question our current worldview, to assert our own independence. But then, after that, comes integration. And this feels more like coming home. It's when we land in a new, bigger, more complex way of seeing things and feel stable and connected again.
And this back and forth isn't just a simple pendulum swing, it creates this upward spiral of growth. So think about it. We might start out in a stable stage of integration, like the conformist who just wants to belong to the group. Then we push away from that. We differentiate into the expert who says, no, I have my own knowledge. From there, we find a new, stable home. We integrate as the achiever who masters the system. And then we push away again as the individualist who starts questioning that very system. And with each turn of the spiral, our perspective gets wider and our ability to make meaning gets more sophisticated.
All right, so why does any of this matter? Let's bring it all home. Because this isn't just some dusty, abstract theory from a textbook. It's an incredibly practical tool, a map that can genuinely change how you see yourself, other people, and the whole world.
So, what are the big takeaways here? First, and this is maybe the most important thing, this is a map, not a label. It's not about putting people in boxes. Nobody is ever 100% one stage. And please, don't think that later means better or happier. It just means more complex. And trust me, every single stage has its own unique strengths and its own blind spots. Really, the true power of this map is that it's a lens for compassion, for yourself and for other people. It helps you understand why someone might see the world so differently than you do. And it's a powerful reminder that growth is a lifelong possibility.
And this really brings us to a powerful closing thought, captured perfectly by this famous quote. It's not just about physics or math. It's about personal growth. To solve the really deep, fundamental problems, in our own lives or in the world, we often don't just need more facts or more information. We need to actually change the way we see. We need a new perspective, a higher level of awareness. So that leaves me with one final question for you. What's one problem in your life right now that might look totally different if you could see it from the next stage up on the map?